Okay, so we're in lesson 8. This is page 109. And the second paragraph, second passage. Okay, so we start with Tena Kopana Samayena. Okay, this is very common expression. It usually follows an introductory sentence which goes Ekang Samayang. Ekang Samayang is it's accusative case used to denote a particular period of time. And so in English we would translate it on one occasion or at one time. So we translate it with a locative word, on or at. So we have Ekang Samayang Bhagava Savatyang Viharati. At one time, the Blessed One, the Buddha, was living in the city of Savatthi. Then often, when the narrative description is continuing, okay, at one time, such and such is the case, then it continues with this expression in the instrumental case. Tena Kopana Samayena. So the Kopana, this is just what we call a connective. It shows that the description is continuing. What is the Chinese word that renders this? Probably yeah. And then this is instrumental. These two go together. Meaning on that occasion or at that time. Oh. I didn't do the second paragraph at all. Okay. I didn't do the Sayatapi. Okay. Okay, so Sayatapi Bogotama. Sayatapi is used to introduce a simile. It has a sense of just as if. And then Bo Gautama is just vocative. Sir, Master Gautama. Just as if, Master Gautama. Saradang Baddara Pandum Parisudang Hoti Pariyodata. Okay, Baddara is a fruit called the jujube fruit. I don't really know what this fruit is like. Okay, and pandu is the color. It's like a yellowish orange color. And Sarada, he's relating to the autumn time. This must be a fruit that ripens in the autumn.
Is that an adjective?
Yeah, it's an adjective. I see in the glossary it's also given the meaning fresh. No, I'm not I'm not sure that that's the real meaning or whether they're just deriving that. Okay, so just as this yellow buddera fruit in the autumn is clean and is pure and clean, and remember what I said last week, when you have adjectives, a list of adjectives in Pali, the first adjective will come before the hoti, or sometimes before the noun that it's describing. And then the other adjectives will come after the hoti or after the noun that it's describing. So here we have parisudang before hoti and pariyodatang afterwards. But to render into English, we have to say, put the two adjectives together and say the fruit is pure and clean.
Then how about saradang?
Yeah, actually saradang is another adjective. That's preceding the noun.
Okay. They're also saying the three altogether? Three adjectives?
Well, you see, saradang... Let me see how to put this. You see, the point is to compare this fruit with the Buddha's facial complexion. Okay, and the Buddha's facial complexion is described as parisuddho, pure, and pariyodatta, clean. So those two words have to follow the fruit, the name of the fruit. But sarada is describing the fruit itself. It's not comparing, that adjective doesn't enter into the comparison with the Buddha's facial expression. But that's a description of the fruit, quite apart from whether it corresponds to the Buddha's face. But now the speaker wants to say that the fruit of that particular type, the sarada fruit, the autumnal fruit or fresh fruit, is pure and clean, just as the Buddha's facial complexion is pure and clean. So pure and clean will come after the fruit, the mention of the fruit. So literally, just as if Sir Gautama, autumnal, yellow jujube fruit, pure is clean. In the same way, Master Gautama's faculties, the sense faculties, indriyas, are clear, vipassanani, and his facial complexion, the complexion of the skin, chavibano, is parisuddho, pariyodato, is pure and clean. Okay, that's one simile.
Where's pure? We have pariyodato is clean.
Yeah, parisuddho.
Parisuddho, I thought that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's discredit. Okay. And then vipassana.
Vipassanani
Describes Indriya.
the Indriyas. You see, because vipassanani is neuter plural ending, ani. So it goes with indriyani,
Right.
also neuter plural. But chavivano is masculine singular. And so parisuto and pariyodato also masculine singular. So they're all in agreement. Little dots after. Yeah, that's the end of the sentence. Yeah, with sayatapi. So it's a complete sentence. But just I see where the book after the comparison with the fruit, sayatapi Bogotamo saradang bhadra pandum parisudang hoti pariodatang. There I would not put the full stop the way the book does, but I would put a comma there. After pariodating and before evam eva.
I think it is comma.
It is comma.
Oh, in my book it looks like a full stop.
Yeah, like a full stop. Mine too.
But ever start with the lowercase.
I see. So in your book after pariodating it's a comma.
Yeah, it's a comma.
Oh, in mine it looks like a full stop. It might be just the printing.
The initial sayatati, the S is the capital, right? That's why I thought.
Yeah. Actually, I see many of the commas here. The little tail is so light that it looks like a full stop.
Suppose it is a period, then the next sentence doesn't need a hoti or not. Doesn't have to have hoti.
It just wouldn't make sense to have it as a separate sentence starting with evam eva. Because evam eva implies continuing a comparison. But actually you could, what would be correct Pali, you could say evam eva boto gotamasa. Oh, I see why it wouldn't use homti or hoti, because there are two subjects in that clause. There's indriyani, which is plural, and chavivano, which is singular. So if you wanted to put in the verb, you wouldn't know whether to put it plural or singular.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a hoti, so it's singular.
No, it doesn't have the verb here.
Doesn't have hoti.
It doesn't have either hoti or homti.
You're talking about the second part, starting from evam eva?
Right.
Okay.
You see, you don't need the hoti or homti because the past participle itself is self-sufficient. But if, just for argument's sake, if there was, instead of mentioning indriyani, if that was cut out, and he was just speaking about chavivano, then you could say evam eva boto gotamasa parisudo chavivano hoti pariodato.
Can you put hoti between the first one and hoti between the second part? So both can get.
I think one would be able to say that. I don't know that the Pali would actually use that, but it wouldn't be wrong to say evam eva boto gotamasa vipassanani indriyani homti parisuto hoti parisuddho chavivano hoti pariyodato. I think that would be acceptable. Okay, shall we go on to the next sentence? Okay. Now the speaker makes a second comparison. Okay, sayatapi bo Gotama tala pakang sampati bandhana pamutang parisudang hoti pariyodata. Okay, sayatapi, just as if, Sir Gotama, talapakang. Talapakang is the fruit of a palmyra tree. Something like a coconut.
Palm fruit?
Palm fruit, yeah. And then sampati is it's like an adverb. It's not declinable. That means newly, recently, just now. Gyo, that sense. Gyo. Gangan. Okay. So just as a palm fruit, just bandhana pamutang. Pamutang, it's like, means literally it's liberated, freed. But we say released from bandhana. Bandhana is the stalk, S-T-A-L-K, or stem, because they stem. And bandhana is which case?
Your favorite word.
Ablative. I thought ablative was your favorite. Okay, so it's freed from the stalk. You say it needs an ablative meaning. So freed from the stalk, it is parisudang hoti pariyodata. It's pure and clean. In the same way, the faculties of Master Gotama are clear, and his facial complexion is pure and clean, or pure and bright, you would say.
I have a question. Sayata.
Yeah.
Is that indefinable word?
It's indeclinable. It comes from this goes back to a very old type of Magadhi. It's tongue, the top, that, like, also, just like that, or.
So it's actually.
But then the tongue, for some reason, it gets. Actually, tongue is a more modern form. But the older form would have been say, and then the Y gets doubled. It makes say yatapi. So just as if. That's the best way to render it. Just as if. As if. Any questions on this passage?
Just as is. Where does the is come from? Did you say a copy?
Yeah.
It's rendered just as is.
Yeah.
Where does the is come from?
Well, the if is just an English word. It doesn't have a counterpart in the Pali. But that's just the best way to render this expression.
So just as is not enough.
In English, it wouldn't be sufficient. Oh, actually, let me just see. Actually, what you could even, I think you don't even need the if. Let's say, just as, you could say, just as a palm fruit recently or newly freed from the stem is pure and clean, so too. It depends on how one chooses to render that. So you don't really need the if. You could use a wording which will make it unnecessary.
Because I think you think with the translate it says just as or as if.
Yeah.
Is the same expression used when you have the phrase just as if Master Gautama had overturned?
Exactly.
Sort of right about them over.
Right. Actually, probably you would use the if when you have what's called the optative, when it's followed by an optative verb.
May I ask a question from the first
Yeah.
paragraph?
Yeah.
We have the find out where it is in the okay, third line says ape kache bhagavata.
Yeah. Sading samoding.
Okay, sorry, it's actually the next one. The apegacha namagotam.
Yeah.
Savetang ekamantan.
Yeah.
My question is about the word namagotam.
Yeah.
That seems to me a singular form.
Yeah.
But if they're giving their names and surnames, and then we actually had plural for apake, che.
Yeah.
Why would we have singular names? They're giving their names. Why wouldn't it be plural?
Okay, some having declared their name and clan. Each group, each one declares her own name and clan name. Yeah, so it's singular.
I thought apekache is
it's plural.
plural.
Yeah.
So there should be a plural name.
No, it could just come because each one announces a single personal name and single clan name.
No,
Yeah. Okay, let me go on to the second paragraph. Okay, so I've already explained Tena Kopana Samayena. Okay, now Ugata Sari Rasa Brahmanasa Mahayanyo Upakato Hoti. Okay, now Ugata Sari Rasa Brahmanasa, what case is this? Chilausha?
Which one?
Oh, I'm in passage 2. Passage 2.
Tenako, right?
After Tena Kopana Samayena.
Oh, here. Tenako.
Yeah.
Hana Samayana, right? And you asked about the Ugata the Rasa?
Yeah. Brahmanas.
Genitive?
Yeah. This is actually...
A name of a Brahmin?
Yeah. Ugata Sari Rasa, it seems to be a descriptive name. It's presented as though it's the name of the Brahmin, but it means one with tall body. Ugata means raised, gone up, so one with a tall body. But it seems to be treated as his name. This is not unusual in the text. And this is an important point in Pali syntax. Instead of saying that somebody does something, often one says that something has been done for someone. So in this case, instead of saying that this Ugata Sari, this tall-bodied Brahmin, had set up a great, or prepared a great sacrifice. It says, for the tall-bodied Brahmin, a great sacrifice had been set up. Maybe because he didn't do the work himself, but he would have had servants, workers to do it. So he would be the one who gives the commands, and other people would do the dirty work for him.
So that's genitive instead of dative?
They call us, you see, the genitive and dative come very close together in many usages. So they would just call us, but it seems to me to be genitive, but it's not in the sense of possessive, but just showing that the actual subject is somewhat in a passive condition. So for, literally, of the Brahmin Ugata Sarira, a great sacrifice had been set up or prepared. Okay. Pancha Usapa Satani Tun Upanitani Honti Yanyataya. Now you see the expression Pancha Usapa Satani. Do you know what number this is?
500.
Right. 500 what? Bowls. Yeah. Now you see this is peculiar in Pali Sanskrit way of representing numbers. If you have a large number like 500, the 5 will precede the noun. You have 500 of something. The 5 comes in front of the noun, and the 100, or if it's thousands, the 1,000 would come as a suffix to the noun. It's attached to the end of the noun. So to represent 500 bowls, Pancha Usapa Satani. So to get the number, you have to join the Pancha to the Satani. And now it describes what's been done to these 500 bulls. Tuna is the sacrificial post, the post to which the animals are tied. And Upanitani means led towards, brought towards.
Upanitani, you say it's like an offer, or?
Well, they've been brought to the post.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of upanati then? Bring?
Yeah, to lead towards.
To lead?
Yeah, yeah.
You mean brought to the pole?
Yeah.
Can you draw a picture?
I don't think I've ever seen a ritual Brahminic sacrifice. But I would guess. My guess is that there would be a big pillar like this, and then the animals. There must be many actually to get 500 of many different types of animals.
I think I think they're tied very close so they can't move their heads. So easier to be sacrificed, and so it's no danger for the person who does the sacrifice.
Yeah, probably so.
I heard the description in Nepal that they do a sacrifice. There's one festival, Hindu festival.
Yeah. But probably there would be like a whole court with many posts for sacrifices. And also the 500 it's used often just as a big number. Yeah. Okay, so you have 500 bulls, which have been led to the post. Yanyataya. This is an example. It was pointed out in the grammatical explanation. In Pali, the word atta, which means purpose, it's used as a suffix after the main noun to mean for the sake of. Then it's put in the dative, attaya. So for the purpose of, for the sake of, sacrifice. And the saying 500 Pachatra Pachatra what?
A bullock.
Bullock. What is a bullock?
Like, I don't know how to say.
Castrated bull.
Like a
The castrated.
spade or, right? Spade or the animal.
Castrated bull.
Yeah, I don't know how to say. I don't know if it's a cat or a dog or a spade, right?
So it would be an oxen. Bullock herd.
But it says, the glossary gives a weaned calf. Wean, I think Pachatra means a calf actually. A grown.
One is the Vachatara Ratani, right?
Yeah.
And one at the back is a little bit different. Vacchatta. And one is Vacchata. And this word is weaned cow. And I said bullock is the one is TTA.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Oh, I think that's a spelling mistake.
Yeah.
No, it's a typographical mistake.
You mean the same word?
It's the same word. You just take one T out. It's a printing mistake.
So the first T has to be removed.
One of those T's. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vachatara would be, I would say it's a male calf, and Vachatari is a female calf. And then Pancha Ajja Satani. The Ajja, that is a goat. And Pancha Uraba Satani. Uraba is sheep, ram. Yeah, ram, sheep. Okay, so all of these animals have been set up, brought to the post for the sacrifice. Attako ugata sariro brahmano yena bhagavaten upasankami. Attako means then. The Brahmin ugata sarira approached the Blessed One, having approached Bhagavata Sadding Samodhi. We've had that before. He exchanged greetings with the Blessed One. And Ekamantang Nisidi, he sat down to one side. Okay, those expressions we've had already. Ekamantang Nisino ko ugata sariro brahmano bhagavantang etadavocha. Okay, Ekamantang Nisino, sitting at one side. And notice, in English when we say sitting at one side, we use the locative, at one side. But in Pali, which case is used? What is that case? Ekamantang? It's accusative. Okay, so sitting at one side, the tall-bodied Brahmin said to the Blessed One. And notice also, he said this, etadavocha. Etad, when you have etadavocha, this is the result of sandhi, of joining. So we have to separate into two words. it actually becomes a tongue. But because this is a very common expression, to be able to speak it quickly, the gets changed to a D, and the two words get joined. Etadavocha. It's easier to say than etangavocha. That is changed to a D for the sake of the sandhi, conjunction.
Okay, so it's accusative. It's masculine. That was etangavocha. Otherwise, if it's neuter, it wouldn't be etad directly. Alright, so this is masculine for you, right? You don't know what
I think etang is also, it's neuter. It's actually neuter.
But he said,
yeah.
He said,
yeah.
This is neuter, yeah. Actually, so if it's neuter, then we have the alternative form, etad.
Yeah, I think etad is used as neuter because when you have this conjunction, then the tongue changes to the...
Okay, as a result of this.
Yeah. I don't think you ever see the D in some other... without being followed by a vowel,
okay.
a short vowel. And note that the object of speech, in English we say he said to the Blessed One, as though it were dative. But in Pali, the object is accusative. Addressed. But actually there's a different word rendered, translated addressed, as amantesi. So it's simplest to translate he said, and just bear in mind that they use the accusative rather than the dative. Okay, so the Brahmin says, Sutang metang bo Gotama agisa adanang upasa usapanang mahapalang hoti mahani sang sang ti. Okay, sutang metang. Sutang means heard. And metang, what is metang? Say
like M-E plus A top.
right. So what does may mean?
May means I think. I think it's I, right?
Well, close.
Oh my. Me.
What case is it?
It's pronoun. It's person pronoun.
Personal pronoun, but what case?
It's
It represents a case. Wenju? Say it loud.
instrumental.
It's instrumental. It means by me.
Okay, by me.
Okay. So, heard by me this. Or in other words, I have heard this, Sir Gautama. Then the next expressions, I just have to guess the meaning. Agisa adanang, if we take it literally, it's putting up or placing of the fire. And upasa usapanang is the erection or putting up of the sacrificial post, the yupa, is of great fruit and great benefit. In other words, the sense seems to be that holding a sacrifice is of great fruit and great benefit. then the Buddha says, Maya pi ko etang brahmana sutang agisa adanang upasa usapanang mahapalang hoti mahani santi. So the Buddha says, okay, Maya pi. What is the case here? Maya? Poet? The case? Maya? Excuse me? It's instrumental, yeah. So, by me also, but you see the Maya, this is the normal instrumental form. The may is a contracted form. And the may, it's used only inside a sentence. That's called enclitic. Looks like we have may, te for you, may, te, plural no, which means us, and vo, that's plural you.
Very close to French.
Seems so, yeah. Oh, no, not in that word.
No, but
No.
we is new and you is French, or vous. Vous, you, and vous, so.
Yeah.
And me and K, very close to French.
Okay, so, but the Maya, that is the normal instrumental form. So the Buddha is saying, by me too, this has been heard. Then he repeats the same thing. Then the Brahmin repeats his statement a second time, a third time, and the Buddha also repeats his statement the second time and a third time. So he says, I too, O Brahmin, have heard that the bringing up of the fire, the setting up of the sacrificial post is of great fruit and great benefit. So now the Brahmin is very happy, and he sort of misunderstands. The Buddha has just said that he's heard this, not that he agrees with it. But the Brahmin jumps to the conclusion that the Buddha is agreeing with him. So the Brahmin says, Tai idang bo Gotama sameti bo to cheva Gotamasa amhakancha yadidang sabena sabbang. You tried to look it up in a glossary?
Yeah, the book. Okay,
Amhakan. Yeah, you would have had it. It is the genitive form of mayang, meaning us. M-A-Y-A-M. Let us see. I'm sure you can, under ahang, if you look up the declension of ahang. Yeah. 67. Yeah, you just look on page 67 in the table. At your leisure, you look at it. Okay, But let's go back to the text. Okay, tai dung. This tai dung. Okay, the glossary explains it's tongue plus idung. But again, to make it, to be able to speak it quickly, the ung gets dropped and then the y gets inserted to join the two words. Taidang. And it just simply means that, this. Yeah, in English we would say simply that. Yeah, it's a little complex, the sentence. I'll translate it literally. That this Master Gautama agrees of Master Gautama's and of us. That is, with all. Okay. From the beginning.
Yeah.
That this Master Gautama agrees of Master Gautama's and of us. Yadidang, that is, sabena, with all, sabang, all. And now to put the same sentence in normal English, I would say, there is complete agreement between Master Gautama's then in brackets, position and ours, or mine and mine.
Mine or ours?
Well, literally it's ours, but you see, ours is a polite form in which a person will speak to another respected person. Yeah. It's a little bit like using the nin instead of the ni.
Actually, no, not exactly the same. Instead of say wo, we say wo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. You say wo, you use woman instead of wo. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Okay, so it seems to me the tai dung means the statement or position that the position of Master Gautama and of myself agree with each other or are in agreement. And then yadidang means that is, and then sabena sabang, with all seems to be an idiom which means entirely or completely. Okay, it's a little bit odd, the grammar of that sentence. Do you understand it though, the sense? Okay, evang vute. Do you know what case that is? Say again loudly. Very good. Remember I explained it last week. This is a very short locative absolute. When such was said, okay, then ayasma anando ugata sarirang brahmanang etadavocha. When that was said, the Venerable Ananda said this to the Brahmin with the tall body. So Ananda says, Nako Brahmana Tathagata Evam Puchittabha. Then he repeats the statement, Sutang Metang Bhogottama. So he says, not the Tathagatas, O Brahman, should not be questioned thus. Then he repeats the statement. So,
Master Brahman and Tathagata.
the Brahman is vocative, so, O Brahman, let's put it this way, O Brahman, the Tathagatas should not be questioned thus. Then he repeats the statement.
Oh, so that long A is plural, not ablative.
Tathagata, that's definitely it's plural, yeah.
Ah.
So Tathagata should not be questioned thus. And the statement actually, it's not a question. It's really just a statement. But there seems to be maybe an implied question, like, what do you think about that? What do you think of this? Okay, so Ananda continues, Evam ko brahmana tathagata puchittabha. So here there's a real question, or request. O Brahman, the Tathagatas should be questioned thus, in this way. Then Ananda gives a different statement. The way the Brahman should have spoken to the Buddha. Ahang hi bante aging adatu kamo yupang usapitu kamo. Here the second word, he, that just gives, it's what I call the spice word. It just gives a little emphasis to the statement. Bante, Venerable Sir, I am desiring to set up the fire, to put up a fire. I am desiring to set up the sacrifice, the sacrificial post. And with these two words, udatu kamo, usapetu kamo, these are examples of this grammatical point discussed in the book. On page 116. The word kama means desire, and one attaches it to the infinitive of a verb, one drops the ung, one attaches it to the infinitive, then has the meaning desiring to do such and such, to do the action designated by the verb. Okay, so Venerable Sir, I am desiring, in other words, I am desiring to make a sacrifice. O vadatu mang bante bhagava, anusasatu mang bante bhagava. O vadatu, this is third person, singular, what type of verb? Good. Third person, singular imperative. Let one do something. Let the Blessed One advise me. Anusasatu mang. Let the Blessed One instruct me. Yang mama asa digaratang hitaya sukhaya. So let the Blessed One advise me, let Him instruct me. Yang, which mama, mine, or for me, asa. Asa is what? Say. Say again. Right. Good. It's the optative of is, and you got it. Wenjun also got it right. Should or might be or would be. Okay. Digaratang means literally long night, but it has a special meaning. That is a special meaning. A typical meaning is for a long time. For a long time, hitaya, for welfare, and sukhaya, for happiness. In what case is that? Hitaya, sukhaya? Sukhi? Excuse me? No, you're missing too many classes.
I know. Hitaya, yeah.
You have to be able to tell me the case. Snap of a finger.
Is there optative?
No. Chiva. Right, it's dative. Okay, so the sense is, let the Blessed One advise me, let him instruct me, which would be, that is the asa, young asa. Then you have to take mama and join with hitaya sukhaya, which would be for my welfare and happiness, digaratam, for a long time. So let him advise me, let him instruct me in a way which would be for my welfare and happiness for a long time, or which would be for my long-term welfare and happiness. Okay, then in the next sentence, the Brahmin simply then addresses that request to the Buddha. It just repeats the same request. I think that's... Okay, that's the end of the passage. It's not the end of the sutta, of course. I think then the Buddha will give some instruction to the Brahmin on how to set up what he considers a proper sacrifice, which is not killing animals, but maybe offering charity. Okay, any questions about this passage?
I have a question mark here, but I don't understand my own question. The second sentence will last over datuman bhavang gotang.
Yeah.
Gotamo. Why do we have bhavang?
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Why do we have bhavang there?
Yeah, why is am?
Okay, that's good. But if you look in the grammar section,
For bow, for
let's see.
Page 85.
No, page 115. This lesson.
Oh.
The section 5.
The nominative.
Yeah, that's the nominative for this word bhavant. It's the same as Bo Gotama, that's the vocative. Bo To Gotama, Boto Gotamasa, that's genitive.
So this is just, here it says, Venerable Gotama instruct me.
Yeah, let the Venerable or Master Gotama instruct me, let him advise me, let him instruct me. Oh, I see, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually there's a little difference between Venerable Ananda's statement and the Brahmins. Venerable Ananda, being a Buddhist, he uses the expression Bhante. When he formulates the question, O vadatu mang Bhante Bhagava. Ananda uses Bhagava, the Blessed One. But the Brahmin is not yet a believer in the Buddha. So he won't use Bhagava, which is very respectful. So the Brahmin uses, instead of Bhante, he uses Bo Gotama. And instead of Bhagava, Blessed One, he uses Bhavang Gotama. Bhavang Gotama, Master Gotama, Sir Gotama.
I guess my question was, we had Bo Gotama before, and now we switch to Ba.
Yeah, well, Bo Gotama is the vocative.
Vocative form, right.
Bhavang Gotamo is nominative. Okay, let us go to the next page. We have some verses from Dhammapada. Here with verses, sometimes one has to unravel the word order a little bit. Okay. Dunigahasa lahuno yata kama nipatino chitasa dhammato sadhu chitang dantang sukhavaham. Okay, in the first line, all of those words are in the same case. What case is that? Manju? It's actually the genitive. So it's obvious in the case of du nigahasa. That's the genitive ending for a noun. But lahuno, that's like an adjective ending in you. So it's like a noun ending in you. So it takes a genitive in lahuno. And yata kamani patino. Let's see, I'm sure we have these nouns ending in IN a few lessons back. Yeah, page 84. Page 84. Like the noun machari or macharim. You see it takes the genitive dative ending macharino. And so here, nipatin takes the ending o, so it becomes nipatino. Nipatino means falling down. And then yata means where, and kama, desires. desire. And all of these are describing, what is this noun that they're describing? What is the noun? Suki? Right, it's citta. So the mind is du-nigahasa. Here, nigaha means to restrain, to hold down. And D-U-R is a prefix which means difficult. Then the final R gets changed to the consonant that comes after. So in this case it's an N. So it's difficult to hold down or to restrain. Then lahu, the adjective lahu, normally it means light, like a feather or dust. But if something is light, it gets blown around here and there very easily. So the mind is something which is light, it gets blown here and there, it moves very quickly. And yata kama nipatino, which means that it falls wherever it wants. It goes wherever it wants. And of this mind, Dhammato sadhu. Dhammata means, normally it's used in relation to animals. When you have a wild horse or a wild elephant, you have to, what does one do with it? Tames it, right. So the taming of the mind, sadhu, is good. The word sadhu means good.
I remember the summer retreat in the monk from Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I didn't know what does that mean.
Okay, so the taming of the mind is good. And then the next line gives the reason. Chitang dantang sukhava. Now the word dantang, you see, okay, the noun dhammata, or dhammata is a noun. It comes from the verb, I think it's dhammati. But it might come more often in the causative form. Dhammati. To tame. So we get the past participle dantang, which means tamed. So chitang dantang, a mind that is tamed, sukhavahang. Sukha is what? Sukha means... Okay. Then, after sukha, we put this ending... Avaha. Avaha, which means bringing, or leading to, you could say. Bringing is better.
And bringing and causing.
Yeah. Okay, so a tamed mind brings happiness. What is the time now?
10 after 4. 5 after 4.
Is there chanting at 4:30?
On Saturday we have very short. Okay, I'll just do the next verse and we'll stop. Okay, su du dasam sunipunam yata kama nipatinam chitang raketa medavi chitang bhutang sukhavaham. Okay, again, the first two lines are describing the mind. This time, see, dasang means, it's related to seeing. Like dasana, we have the adjective or the noun dasana, sight, seeing. So dasa means to see. And then do dasa, like, erase that, yeah. It's that same prefix, dur.
Hard.
Yeah. So that means hard to see. So dudasa, hard to see. And when we put a su in front of it, what is the meaning that it gives? Chilaosha? What happened? You just stay there.
She mumbled something as she went
No, they
on.
noticed,
Okay, sorry. Okay, the su means.
feedback.
I think it's too much work.
Okay, so the su makes it very, it means very much. So the mind is very hard to see.
Isn't su normally means good?
Yeah, often it means good, but sometimes it has the sense of very,
Very.
even if it's. Okay, so the mind is very hard to see because the thoughts go so quickly that we're not aware of them. Then su nipunam. Here nipuna means subtle, and su again means very, so it's very subtle. Again, yata kama nipatinang. We already had the meaning of this. But this is what case now? It's not accused. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, it is accusative, right. It's accusative. Falling wherever it wants. Then, chitang raketa medavi. Medavi means a wise person, intelligent person. And raketa is what case is? What case is this? It's not a case. I'm sorry.
Imperative.
I think it's a middle voice optative. The middle voice. So the middle voice optative endings come only in chapter 11. Yeah, it comes in chapter 11. But yeah, anyway, it's what's called a middle voice optative. It's the middle voice as forms used mostly in verse, very seldom in prose.
Is that page 53?
Is it on page 53? Oh yeah.
So which is it? Which is it? Is it middle voice or is it third person singular?
No, it's middle voice. It's third person singular middle voice. But they have put them on page 53 too.
Those are middle?
Those are middle voice you see in the line after the box. The endings in parentheses are sometimes referred to as the middle ones on the basis of their Sanskrit origin. However, this distinction is largely lost in Pali.
I didn't know that means middle voice. Okay.
Yeah. In Pali, the middle voice is used mainly in poetry. It's somewhat like in English poetry. Even early 20th century writers would use words like what? Thou, or more elevated language.
And Pali is not elevated enough by itself.
Well, certain words have special flavor.
It doesn't mean it comes back to us, so this is to protect, so it actually comes back to the subject of the verb.
I don't think that has.
It doesn't mean that? Okay.
Yeah. Because originally the middle voice was used for reflexive verbs in which there is no object. But here there's an object. The wise person protects the mind. And chitang gutang sukhavaham. The mind that is guarded. Guta means guarded. The mind that is guarded brings happiness. Okay, maybe. If there's any questions.
I want to know why we have the accusative here. Sudadasa.
Yeah.
The only verb I can see is to protect.
Yeah.
Or to guard, right?
Yeah.
So they are the accusative for the optative verbs?
The reason why those words are accusative is because what are they describing?
The mind.
The mind. And what case is chitta in?
Accusative.
Chitta is accusative. So since they're describing an accusative noun, they're also accusative. Any further questions? Okay, I want to go through the glossary on page 119-20. Sometimes we have to correct the renderings given by...
119.
Yeah. Yeah, first I see a spelling mistake. The very first word. The H should come after the D. So it should be AKKODHANO. A kodano. Then this a little bit down, upajati. Actually, upajati usually means to be reborn. And upajati means to arise. But the two words tend to get mixed up in printed editions from I think even Pali Text Society, Sri Lankan editions. So sometimes you get upajati, where what's really meant is upapajati. But here they have upapajati, so they have, I think, in the text on page 117, they do have upapajati. The sense is to be reborn. But then I think on page 118, they have upajaya. There it's to arise, but again the implication to arise by being reborn. So the two words do seem to come together sometimes. and on page 120, Pachaya. Yeah, Pachaya often means condition, but sometimes when you have X Pachaya, it means because of X, by reason of X.
Well, what if it comes with hetu?
Yeah.
Then it's still because of X?
Hey, let's see.
Second passage.
Usually we have konu ko bante hetu ko pachio would be something like, they're almost synonymous. What, Venerable Sir, is the cause? That's hetu. What is the condition? Later, like in Abhidhamma and then more scholastic Buddhism, distinction is made between hetu and pachaya. Whereas the hetu is the main cause, pachaya is supporting condition. But in older texts, like the suttas, they use just like synonymously. Then manku bhuta, I think discontented is not so good. It's more like embarrassed, often embarrassed or humiliated, ashamed. Yeah, visarado, this wise is not good. The sense is somewhat like self-confident. I see. That contrast is made between. Visarado and amankubuto. So mankubuto is like when somebody is speaking in an assembly and they don't have self-confidence, then they are somewhat embarrassed, hesitant. What would be a synonym for this? Not quite shy.
Is it stage fright?
Well, that's sort of an extreme. More like I am now, like stumbling, confused.
Intimidated?
A little bit like that, yeah, also.
Timid?
It's not really timidity, but it's more like
Not
the
sure.
person is lacking self-confidence, and so they stumble over their words, and they become embarrassed. It's not so specific as that. It's more the mental attitude than the physical expression of it. Yeah, then sukhati, not happiness or bliss, but it's the happy realm, of good destination. Technically it means the heavenly realms or good existence in the human realm.
Sukhavati, Sanskrit?
For this? No, sukhavati is actually, it has the word sukha meaning happiness, and vati means possessing, so it means possessing happiness. This is sugati. Su is good, and gati is destination. So good destination. Okay, that's the... Yeah.
Mahali, after Mahali, there's the word, there's the name of a park. Mahavana.
Mahavana, yeah.
So is it capital or just the first word?
Yeah, I think it's the name of a specific park. It means the great woods.
大林金色.
Yeah.
Is it a capital and?
I would put a capital actually. What's the Chinese name of it?
大林.
Ling.
Maha.
I know Da.
Forest. Lin.
For Vana.
Forest.
Forest. Lin.
Double mu. Ling. Remember double mu?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then in Chinese translation, we add 金色 Vihara.
Jingse.
Yeah, Vihara. But here it translated park.
Yeah. You want to use, I think yuan is more,
Yuan is the translation for part.
for arama probably.
For this particular place, we translated.
Oh, I see, it's a fixed translation.
Yeah, it's a fixed translation.
Okay. Okay, that's the end.